Oshkosh Media is government programming on GovTV, community programming on Life TV, and community radio on Oshkosh FM 101.9.
Welcome to Helping Hands with your hosts, John Neiman and Judy Richey.
Hello and welcome to Helping Hands. This is our opportunity to let you in the community know how you can lend a helping hand to an agency, program, or someone in need. I'm Judy Richey, a community advocate, and with us today is
Judy Britton, a community volunteer.
And welcome, Judy.
Thank you.
Would you like to do John's intro to our sponsors?
I would love to. The sponsors of the show, we're happy to say, is Aurora Medical Center, Harnix Flowers and Gifts, Friends of Oshkosh Media, and of course Oshkosh Media.
And where can we be found?
Well, we can be found on Spectrum Channel 2, Oshkosh Media, YouTube, and of course Oshkosh FM 101.9.
Right. Thank you. Today we're going to have a chance to see another unsung hero, and I got to do a little bit of a road trip last week, and so we've got a little bit of film to show you. Hello and welcome to Unsung Heroes. We're here at the Oshkosh Senior Center to award the Unsung Hero of the Month to Dorothy Gerner, a longtime volunteer at the Senior Center. Dorothy, I'm Judy Richey with the Helping Hands program on Oshkosh Media, as well as doing the Unsung Hero that you probably have seen on Oshkosh Media at some point. And you have been nominated to be this month's Unsung Hero.
So do I get $1 million?
You get $1 million. And Evan, if you could hand me that bag right there.
It's all in there? A whole million?
No, it's $2 million.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And John Neiman couldn't be with us today, but we have for you a certificate of appreciation naming you Unsung Hero, and it's being presented by John and I as co-hosts of the Helping Hands, and also with the Friends of Oshkosh Community Media and Oshkosh Media.
Well, thank
so
you very
there
much.
you go. And along with that, we have a few other goodies.
Can I kill Ann over this?
Sure.
Okay.
Volunteers Make a Difference teddy bear,
Okay, that's really cute. I appreciate that.
and flowers.
Oh, my.
So with that, we know that you do the newsletters here. We know that you do a lot of the other programs, like the food, anything that pertains to food.
Anything that pertains to food.
So anything from shopping to cooking to serving to cleanup and anything in between.
I try.
Okay. And how long have you been volunteering here at the center?
Almost as long as it's here.
Okay. So you worked with Sue along with
Right.
Jane
Yeah.
and Mark. So, okay. And what other things do you do in the community?
Really nothing.
Really?
I help some of the seniors that can't drive to places and pick them up. And
I heard you do a lot for people, not necessarily as a structured volunteer with an agency, but what you do for your friends and your family and your neighbors and
don't
everything.
start on that.
Just tell us a few things.
Like what?
What are those besides driving people?
Like buying flowers for someone when they got hurt.
All those types of things. And that's what makes you an unsung hero, because you don't like the attention. You like to do.
So you tricked me.
So no, we didn't trick you. We honored you. So for that, we, from everyone from Oshkosh Media, from Helping Hands, from Aurora, from the community, the Senior Center, we all say thank you for so much that you do.
You're welcome.
And Bobby or Sarah or anybody else have anything they'd like to say? Ann?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
She
knows I'm gonna
something
kill
to
her for
say.
this.
Oh, hon, I'm so sorry, but I love that you're surprised.
Well, yeah.
Oh, hey, thank you so much for everything you do. You've been amazing over the years, and we can't do anything without you.
Oh, yes, you can.
Oh, I don't know. We'd have a bit of a problem. So we just want to say thank you so much. I know you started this volunteering with your husband. How many years ago?
Way back.
Way back. Don't age yourself.
Oh, I
Okay.
do.
All right. But thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Anything you'd... Woo! Dorothy! Anything you'd like to say to the group here?
Thank you, guys. Next time, tell me before you come in, okay? Thank you.
And as you watched that, the surprise that we had with Dorothy, and unfortunately, Scott didn't edit out that little bit of a threat of doing mayhem to someone, but that's the kind of humor that we see with the group working together. When she's talked about doing the newsletter, what Dorothy meant is she helps to get them all put together, ready to be delivered. And there's about 4,000 that go out that way. And that's quite a dedicated crew, as you saw. Besides organizing the newsletter, folding and assembly, she's part of the kitchen crew that is there for pretty much every food-related event, anything from the shopping beforehand to the preparation, to the serving, to the cleanup, to whatever. And she's very disappointed if she happens to miss one. And that's a group that is really a fun group. They have learned to work together and really put a good face on the Senior Center and the programs they do. Judy, you want to tell a little bit more about her?
Yeah, you can tell that she definitely is a people person and loves to communicate with anyone, and I understand that that's exactly what she does. It doesn't make any difference who it is. She's always willing to communicate. And I think when asking her daughter, you were telling me before, Judy, that when asking her daughter how her mother got involved in all of these things, and the answer was that she just loves people and loves and cares for people and wants to help them.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that when we talk about unsung heroes, we're not looking necessarily at somebody that's working with a structured organization. We're also looking at people who are involved in many ways in the community, who are truly making a difference. And sometimes it's a business person that allows their employees time for volunteering, and they're not having to take personal time off, they're not having to use vacation, that they will give them the flex time, or perhaps like for Imprint, the employees are paid for their working time. They're allowed like an hour a month
To do the volunteer work in our community.
Absolutely. And when you and I were both working, we had the advantage of those employees volunteering for us and then becoming volunteers on their own without the corporate connection.
Right. I think that's very helpful in our community, and I think we can be very thankful in our community that corporate does do that for us.
Right.
But there's so many things to do in our community that, as you say, it doesn't have to be through the corporate. If you just look around, purchasing things for the teacher's closet when they're on sale. If you can go out and purchase those things and take them over to the teacher's closet, I think that's a big help to our teachers in our community.
And I think with that too, as much as you and I don't use it as much, social media is one way of getting that particular information out. So we try to piggyback a number of different ways. And when you talk about the teacher's closet, that is a totally volunteer program. And they were our unsung hero a couple of months ago. And
that's right. I remember seeing that, that they were. But everyone that works there are volunteers.
Absolutely. All the board members, all the ones that are volunteering when the teachers come in. And this is July and summer, and we don't like to think about school starting, but that is an excellent program to think about. And as all the back-to-school sales start purchasing, you and I don't have kids that are of that age or anything, but it's still fun to go out and shop.
It is, and take it over there and see the delightful smiles on their faces when you get them over there. And, just find some gas cards possibly for the people that are at the Christian Ann Center. They have to get to work, and they're in a sad situation at the present time, so doing something like that where you don't have to really go there and participate working hands-on, but that certainly is hands-on by just purchasing some things and taking them there.
Right. But there's also a lot of, along that line, some of those residents, families that are there, need transportation. Otherwise, they can't always use the bus or something.
Right.
And you can be a volunteer taking them to their appointments and looking at different projects and things that can be for the children that are there. It can be donating brand new clothing, all sorts of things that way.
Right. And I think some other places, day-by-day warming shelter is another place that just taking items there. And I know once a month every night they have to feed the people that are there. And so volunteering for that is very helpful.
Right. And along with that would be the hand warmers, the toe warmers,
socks,
the basic necessities.
Right.
So with that also is all the we talked about the personal hygiene, but clothing, the winter coats, shoes. Some of that requires gift cards to be able to purchase. One of the businesses, I believe, had actually, a business or a service club, had actually gone so far as to make available the funds for each of the guests at the shelter at a particular time were able to purchase new shoes or boots. And, we take it for granted.
We do. And as you think about all the things that are needed in our community, you're absolutely right. We do take things for granted. And there's lots of things that can be done. Just volunteering at your church or checking on a neighbor to see if everything is okay in at their home. And maybe, like you mentioned before, taking them to an appointment that they have.
And with all of that, we start going back to all the different programs and entities. And we're kind of running out of time right now for this segment. So rather than going too much further, why don't we just take a break and we'll be right back.
It's not a charity. It's more than a charity. It's about helping people we live with. It's about being the type of person that the 6-year-old version of ourselves wanted us to be. It's about community and looking out for one another. It's about money, yes, but it's so much more than money. It's about friendship and common values. It's about opening doors when others are slammed shut. It's about giving kids a place to be kids and growing up knowing they live in a community that cares about them. It's about making sure that everyone gets to see the dentist, because we want to make sure that they have every last tooth in those smiles. Ultimately, that's it. It's about the smiles, old smiles and new smiles. It's about us, all of us, our community living united, because great things happen when we live united. Will you join us?
and welcome back to Helping Hands. This is our December edition. And with that, we're going to do a little bit of a look back over the years. We're actually in our 16th season, so almost 16 years of this particular program, Helping Hands, and helping people find volunteer opportunities and whatever else may be needs in the community at the time. So let's start with a little bit of a look back, and then we'll be back with you.
Judy, we have finally made it. We have talked about this day for so many years, and we finally have our show entitled Helping Hands. So, welcome aboard, partner.
Good morning. It's really nice to be here. This is, as you said, this is something that we've really planned for a long time.
I knew this was going to happen. Where has the time gone? Where does it go? I knew we'd get chatting, and the time would go. But this is our first show.
Welcome to Helping Hands. And wasn't that great? That was our very first show for November of 2003. And our second guest that year for the December show was my partner in crime today, Judy Britton. And as a former agency director, you want to tell us a little bit of the value of this particular program was when you were working?
Oh gosh, this program was a huge value. It gave us an opportunity to let the community know that there was an agency, Cerebral Palsy of Mideast, Wisconsin. It gave us the opportunity, with your help, to bring in volunteers to the agency. And it was amazing how after a show, you would go down to the grocery store, even on Main Street, and somebody would stop you and say, hey, I saw you on Helping Hands, and I understand you need some help. So it was this show has been a great value to many agencies in our community for the last 16 years.
And I go to the grocery store or someplace, and I had a Meals on Wheels client that critiqued my jackets for years. So what the intent of our show has always been is to highlight volunteer opportunities, to try to also highlight agencies, and with that, people think in terms of the volunteering, doing some of the hands-on, like a lot of us did with the Style Show or Oktoberfest in Appleton for you, and
Right.
things like that. But there were other opportunities with your agency, board members, committee members. You want to talk a little bit about that for your agency and for the community?
Well, I think that you're absolutely right. Community has, the agencies need volunteers, and it isn't just the hands-on, like you said, but we need it in our board of directors and on our various committees. And I think many agencies have a variety of committees that they have for their agency. But board members are very important, I think, and knowing people are interested in helping on the board, that's a huge program and helpful to us.
Well, do you remember how we got started? What John and I were doing back then?
Oh my goodness, probably a little bit of everything. It wouldn't make any difference. I can remember John coming and helping us on Day of Caring when we had it, and we were out at the Willow Apartments here in town, and John was out there helping us do yard work, and you were out there also, and I think, that was great to have that.
Well, in my mind, we were doing what we as volunteer managers or whatever should be doing, and that is we get in, and you did the same thing. You get in, get your hands dirty with the volunteers themselves. You practice what you preach.
I was just going to say that I think the three of us, that's one thing that no matter when we were on the show or whoever you talked to, you never would ask someone to do something that you wouldn't do yourself, and I think that's important. And all the time you spent with us with the style shows and any special event that we had, Judy was right there helping us.
Well, the problem with that was that we had our offices in the same building, and I couldn't escape you.
That's very true.
But anyway, what I was kind of getting at through this is when we go back to that, 14, 15, 16, 17 years ago, we had the Alliance of Volunteer Agencies.
Yes.
which started out of the senior forum. And there was always, how do we get the message out to the community? What can we do? How can we be a more coordinated effort? And we had a handout that we could use that would spotlight agencies, but you had to be at a meeting and doing a handout. And, well, how do we, and then we got a column, volunteer column in the newspaper. And then we got John.
Right.
John, the bundle of energy. And with that, he was able to secure the money, the funding to do the program, because this isn't a freebie. And then from that, additional sponsorships, and going on almost 16 years. We thought we'd be lucky if we lasted a year or 2 years, and then we hit 5 years, and we hit 10 years in the 15. You were on most Christmases.
Right.
And you were kind of disappointed the year that you couldn't make it at our taping time. But John brought it to Aurora the Alliance of Volunteer Agencies, as a way to get the information out even further. And we started in November show of 2003. And here we are doing July of 2019.
16 years later.
It's been a long time. And the show has won awards, both in the state of Wisconsin and through the Midwest Media Fest, competing against, 8 or 9 different states and programs. So, again, it shows the value of the program, but it also shows the strong initiative of John and making things happen. So, with that, we'd kind of like to go back to a little bit more of the volunteer opportunities and backtracking to boards and commissions and committees. And there's opportunity right here at Oshkosh Media. Right now there are 2 openings.
Yes.
You've been on the board, I've been on the board, John has been on the board. It's time to find some newer, younger people, and it's really easy to apply, contacting Oshkosh Media, and your information gets sent out to the appropriate people, and a little bit of an interview and a nice sit down usually of what are the responsibilities. And we've got some great people on there already, but there's 2 openings. It's time for someone to come and join them.
So hopefully someone might just call and say that they're interested today.
Absolutely. And along with that, with the city, all the boards and commissions, and I know that with the Committee on Aging, for the first time in years, we've actually got our entire committee rather than having 1 or 2 openings. There's a lot more interest out there than there used to be in participating in things like that. So, again, I encourage everyone.
And I know that message gets out in many ways, but I think that this show has helped in doing that a lot.
Right. We talked about a lot of other things when we were before break, and some things that you can do to. One of the big things that's happening in the city are the neighborhood associations.
Yes.
And I believe you have one over in yours.
We do. We do.
And what is the primary focus within your group?
I think that in our neighborhood, I'm seeing an awful lot of emails going out continuously. Somebody needs to have their lawn mowed, and so does someone know that? Or just anything that you need around the house. There's someone who was looking for someone who would help them do some house cleaning in their home because they were elderly and they were looking for that. And some of those things have helped out a lot through the neighborhood.
And with that, that's sort of like when we were growing up, what we were brought up with our parents or our grandparents, of the neighbors helping neighbors.
Yes.
And we're seeing the younger people, younger folks in the neighborhood, buying into that same philosophy now. So again, people are not recognizing that as actually being volunteering.
Right. Right.
To them, it's a way of life. And good volunteers, their perception of what they're doing, as you saw with Dorothy earlier in the show, she doesn't do much otherwise, but she does. And they don't value their time as we do.
Right.
You know, when they're volunteering for us or with us. That time is very valuable. When we're talking neighborhoods, you know, getting away from the structured volunteering now, taking a meal to someone who's just had surgery or a new baby, offering to take the older kids so that mom and baby can get some rest.
Right.
I remember with your mom, when you weren't there or somebody else, whether it was Sarah or someone next door coming,
Sure.
there
To
was
stop
always
in.
somebody stopping in to check on her.
Right.
And-
And that's important. And appreciative.
Absolutely, because isolation is such a huge thing, and it's not just elders, it's of any age. And with all the social media and the young people with their phones and everything, they're not necessarily developing the same skills that we had.
Right.
So, okay. And Scott's telling us we're starting to get down a little bit further here. With the neighborhood things too, is as we have some of these incidents that we've been hearing about in the news, not just in Oshkosh, but around, around the state, that again, the neighborhood watch, the neighborhood associations, and keeping track of things and reporting things,
And they are, as I mentioned, the emails, the alerts come out continuously if there is something going on, and I think that's doing it in all of the neighborhoods.
And with that, I think it also builds, my personal opinion, that it also builds a stronger commitment to the neighborhood schools.
Yes.
And watching out for those young ones as they're back and forth. We're sort of winding down, and time to explain why we've been doing the reminiscing, why we've been talking about John. And unfortunately, John is no longer going to be at Aurora. We're unsure of funding. We have so much trust, respect, love, whatever you want to put in there, for John, for his efforts, for this program. We wish him good luck, and we hope to heck that we see everybody out there at some time or another, and just carrying the message, be kind, care for one another, watch out for your neighbor, and just be a good citizen.
And I think I just would like to add to that with John and to you also, that how great it has been to have, the program and continuing with the program, and hopefully that will continue with us.
Mm-hmm. And a little bit of a note that John sent me, and he said that, let me see if I can find it here now. It's time for a new generation to create a show on Oshkosh Media. Our show had a great run, in the same hope with Community Unsung Hero, and have a good life. And so, thank you.